Welcome back to my video, and today we are remaking McMakinstein's first 5 command block creations. Honestly, I feel like it's gonna be a pretty fun challenge. We're gonna take his first 5 videos and see what we can do to remake them in the current version of Minecraft. So we're gonna hop right into this. In the oldest video currently public on McMakinstein's channel, basically what he did is he made it so that way if you walk up the staircase, you're back at the exact same location you just left. It's called the Impossible Staircase. And apparently this video is based on someone else who did a impossible hallway. So that's kind of interesting. So let's see what we can do about remaking McMakinstein's first command block video. We grab blue wool. Actually, it doesn't really matter that it's blue. Red wool, whatever. Right, we can go in here and you can just build something. Yeah, there we go. JQ. There we go. This should be my new channel logo. Let's just screenshot this, and that's my new channel logo. But then basically, if we walk up the stairs, as you guys will see, oh no, we're back at the same place. The same build is right here. What is this? What? McMakinstien accomplished this by teleporting the player back to the room they just left, which works pretty well, but I did this a little bit differently though. So let's go and break down what we are doing here. Basically, the player can place whatever they want to, and then when they pass the armor stand, then we will simply clone the bottom platform up to the top. And then we simply do the same thing in reverse when the player passes the armor stand that is up top. Also, I feel like I should probably mention that using /cloud constantly is kind of laggy. Actually, super laggy. But anyways, let's move on to the next command block thing. Now, in McMakinstein's second video, it's actually a fairly simple idea. He did a random number generator. The way he did this is he had a dispenser, which I've done the same thing here. And basically, the dispenser dispensed command blocks, which that's not a thing you can do anymore. But when McMakinstein made his video, you could actually do that, and it would place the command block on a redstone block, which would activate the command block. What I've done instead is I've taken this dispenser right here, and I've tagged each of these stones with a number 1 through 9, and then we simply are cloning this dispenser to right here, right next to that lava. That way we can go and dispense these, and there we go. All that's really happening here is these command blocks are picking up the stone blocks when they're thrown out based on their tags, and they're running a number. Fairly simple, actually. So that's how we did the random number generator. It's just these little stones. Which, as you guys can see, we actually can't even open this dispenser because it's being cloned so constantly. We just can't. So let's go ahead and move on to McMakinstein's third video. So in McMakinstein's third video, he basically creates a clone of himself that he is then able to teleport to. So I have now done the same thing. And if we can actually drop a bottom enchanting and be teleported over to it. Seems like there's been a lot of cloning in this video. I believe he actually was doing this for a map, if I remember correctly from that video. Sadly, I wasn't actually able to find that map though. Basically what we're doing is when we shoot off the arrow, when the arrow hits the ground, it summons an entity and then kills the arrow. This is actually pretty nice. We're able to basically test for the NBT tag on the arrow called in ground. And basically the items that have this tag will be active when the thing is in the ground. That means that this arrow has been shot out and it's landed on the ground, which means it doesn't run if it hits a entity or anything like that, just if it actually embeds itself into the ground, which I think is pretty useful and is what I wanted to do in this scenario. It's summoning a skeleton head with my head on it. This is really just a fun little command, and you see it used in maps all the time. So you have your commands. In this case, we're just doing a give command. And then the tag is skull owner, colon, and then the player's exact name. It is actually case sensitive. But yeah, there we go. And then it's my head, which putting my head on my head is kind of weird, but we'll go with it. And we're also giving the skeleton a wither effect, so that way it only hangs around for a second. And then when I throw a bottle of enchanting, it teleports me to the first clone, and then it summons a new clone. And then we can reverse that process once again. I thought that was a pretty cool little command that we threw together there. But the next one might just get a little crazy. Now, at first I thought that McMakinstein's fourth video is going to be super hard to do because it is literally chess remade in Minecraft. But it's not actually as crazy as I thought, because all he actually showcases in the video is a single pawn moving. So that's all I did in terms of making this command. Basically, we can summon this mob right here. This little sheep. How's it going, sheep? And if we hit this right there, and then as you guys can see, this piece is selected. Right? We can see from the glowing that it is selected. And now, wherever we click, there the sheep will go. Also, if you guys want to, we can go back and summon this guy again. And if we summon an opposing player, we could simply take that piece over, and it all works out just fine. Obviously, I didn't make the full chest thing, because this took me a minute. But I think this is a pretty cool command block creation to make, though. Wow, I can't believe I seriously just called this a command block creation. It's actually entirely made in a data pack with functions, and yet somehow I called it a command block thing again. What? So that is McMakinstein's chest remake. Since this chest command took me so much longer to make than the rest of these, I want to go more in depth in the process of how this was actually done. So the first thing we did was we summoned a slime riding a sheep. For this, we simply add the passengers NBT tag to the sheep. And then we go and add the no AI tag to the sheep, so that way they can't run away. I'm looking at you, sheep. You can't run away. Then, just as a quality of life thing, we're gonna make that sheep silent. So I was asking around the r/Minecraft commands Discord, and the best way I found to do that is Sir Bennett suggested using a custom loot table. So that is what we have done. And then when we kill the slime, it actually drops an item, which we will then be able to test for that item and basically use that test to know when the slime dies. So I have created a function to do exactly that. This function tests for when the slime dies, and when it does, it summons 3 new slimes. That way, you can move the pawn forward, or to the left, or to the right. That's not actual chess movement, but that's what McMakinstien did, so let's just go with it. So now, if we reload and run the function, you guys can see what happens. And it summons 3 slimes, which right now, the coordinates for where they're being summoned is not correct, but everything else from that is just fine. And it also kills that sword, so it only happens once. Now, obviously one issue is we don't want to be running the function ourselves. That'd be kind of ridiculous. So, I created a main function, which essentially all that it does is it runs all our different functions. So right now, this is being told to run the 1A death function, the mob effects function, and the pawn 1 move function. These 2 functions are not yet implemented, but the 1A death will run. So we're going to comment the other 2 out, which is simply a hashtag to comment that out. And if we go over here, back out of this data pack, we can go in and we can see that under tags, under functions, we have a tick JSON file. What this command does is it essentially just runs our main Minecraft main function every single tick. If we come back in here, we can go and reload, and we can go and summon that sheep again, and when the slime dies, these new slimes will be spawned. Now, we also created a separate loot table for each one of those slimes. They all give us what space we're moving the pawn to. So if we go and drop those in there, and we go back into our worlds, what we will see when we kill these slimes is they drop items. Now, all that we need is we need a function to test for those items being dropped. So that is what we did. We created the pawn 1 move function file. What this file does is it essentially tests for those swords and sees if those slimes have died, and then it simply runs all the following commands that are nested under that. If we reload, when this slime dies, what happens is it kills the original sheep, and it summons a new sheep right where that died. But there's also a couple other things we want to do with the slimes. Obviously, for one, we don't really want them to be seen. We kind of want them to be invisible. So I gave these slimes a tag, And then I simply use the mob effect command right here to run all the different effects that we want in this. So if we add that in, then basically this data pack will be complete. If we go and reload once again, you will see that that slime is invisible. And now we just have these particles right here. Same thing with these slimes as well. And now this sheep has a glowing effect. I think it's pretty cool, to be honest. And that is essentially our entire system for the McMakinstien chess remake. Okay, so let's go and move on to the final of our 5 McMakinstien remakes. So McMakinstein's 5th video was pretty simple actually. It was just a levitation wand. Now I'm actually going to approach this a little bit differently than he did. We'll talk about that in a second. So his wand was based on how you move. You have to move in a very particular pattern in order to use the wand. I'm simply just going to do right click detection. So in McMakinstein's 3rd video, he makes Leviosa wands. If we walk over to these pigs and we right click our wands, oh, they float away. So this is actually a fairly simple system. When we select this Leviosa item, it's going to summon this villager right here. And anytime you click on it, it just adds to a scoreboard. I should mention the fact that this is a tradeless villager, so that way you can click on it and it will count as a trade without the GUI coming up. And when our score is 1, it's going to levitate any mob that's not the player or this villager click, and it will levitate it. It will give it levitation. That's another thing I did a little bit differently from McMakinstien. I don't know if levitation existed when he was doing this, but all he did is he teleported the mob up, and I instead actually just gave them levitation. But yeah, as you can see, we can make these guys float away. Now it's a range of 6, so if they get too high, we actually don't levitate them anymore. This is not really how I normally do to click detection. I just wanted to experiment with using a villager because it kind of looked like an interesting thing. Usually I would just use a carrot on the stick.